Hi everyone, thanks for joining us this morning. It's been an exciting week for us here at Forbes. We're celebrating our 100th anniversary. Let's talk about some of the stories that came out of this milestone issue. To celebrate a century of journalism at Forbes, we put together a list of the 100 greatest living business minds, leaders who've made their marks on the world through entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and more.
When you're present and awake, you become a machine, a fine-tuned machine.
Each of them wrote an essay for the Centennial issue, which has become the greatest ever portfolio of business advice in business history. So, who's on the list? It ranges from names you know, like Paul McCartney and Bill Gates, to others you might not, like Vinod Khosla and Larry Gagosian. And while the best way for you to fully experience the list is to visit Forbes.com/100 Greatest Business Minds, I'm going to share some of the highlights here. In her essay, Oprah shares the story of how Nelson Mandela inspired her to tackle poverty. It was at a 10-day visit to Mandela's home, where Winfrey shared her desire to fight poverty through education. The same day she shared her hopes with Mandela, he made a call to the Minister of Education. Soon, she was on her way to a meeting to make it happen. In a different vein entirely, Jeff Bezos wrote an essay focused on the key to his success, keeping millions of customers satisfied. Rather than inferior products shouting louder, he says, we have a sort of product meritocracy. It's very good for customers, it's very good for the companies that embrace it, and it's very good for society. And in his essay, arguably the greatest investor of all time, Warren Buffett, shares his investing advice for everyone. Are you ready for it? Invest in yourself. The Oracle of Omaha is telling all of us to address our weaknesses sooner than later. Speaking of Mr. Buffett, he joined a group of the 100 Greatest Living Business Mind honorees on stage at our Centennial celebration earlier this week, where he gave a brief speech. In between crowd-pleasing jokes and reminiscing, Buffett shared a strong sentiment for those concerned about America's future. Whenever I hear people talk pessimistically about this country, he said, I think they're out of their mind. If you've taken a look at the whole 100 Greatest Living Business Minds list, you'll likely notice a trend that reflects the way of the business world for much of the past century, a period where white men were at the helm of most leading business establishments. In that vein, our list also skews to be older, whiter, and male. But, as editor Randall Lane mentions in the magazine, change is coming. 25 members of the list aren't American, 10 are women, and 11 are younger than age 50. We believe those numbers will continue to grow in the years to come. And now, take a look into how we created the 100 Greatest Living Business Minds through the eyes of editor Randall Lane.
Journalism's at the heart of everything the Forbes brand stands for. So for Forbes' The Centennial, we thought we had to do something journalistically that's never been done before. So what we did is pull together the greatest collection of business essayists and the greatest collection of business photo portraits ever assembled. We have the 100 greatest living business minds writing about the 100 ideas and lessons for the next 100 years. So it's not just about looking back at our history and looking back at the history of capitalism and entrepreneurship, but it's looking forward, taking this eternal wisdom, taking these unbelievable achievers and doers, and projecting forward what we can all learn as we go into Forbes' next century. And to make things really hard on ourselves, what we decided to do is find one photographer to shoot all 100 of the 100 greatest living business minds. The photographer we chose is Martin Scholler, one of the absolute best photographers in the world, and equally important, somebody just crazy enough to travel literally around the world to shoot all 100, one by one, beautiful image by beautiful image.
I was asked by Forbes magazine to photograph, I think in the beginning, 8 great business minds, and that turned into 100. And it's an amazing opportunity and a great privilege to work on such an epic issue. I don't think it's ever been done in the history of magazine publishing. Not many magazines turn 100, and then not many magazines are capable or able to get all these people to agree to be photographed for this issue. So it was quite the undertaking, but it was a lot of fun.
Martin's style is so iconic, and it brings people to life. It brings these kind of monolithic icons of business and industry, and it personalizes them, makes them people.
There's a big difference between actors and models and business people. So that creates a certain kind of a challenge as a photographer, obviously. I find it so interesting to talk to people and see what they do and learn about them and research them and then meet them in person. And that's what's fascinating me about being a photographer, to dive into these different worlds. I kind of find them almost equally interesting.
100 years is a big birthday, and we needed to do it in a way that was true to the milestone and true to the brand of Forbes. in the history of the journalism that preceded us. We've been working on this for over 2 years. And so for us, it was all about impact. It was about somebody who did something that has never been done before, which is exactly in keeping with the Forbes mantra. It's entrepreneurship and free market capitalism that can change the world.
Thanks for joining us for this special episode of Forbes Flash. We'll be back to giving you the highlights of the business world next Friday morning. Same time, same place.